Hey, it's Lila with KidScoop Media, and tonight I'm in San Francisco, California at KRON 4's gubernatorial debate. This is the first debate since Betty Yee resigned and endorsed Tom Steyer, so there are many voters still left undecided. This one will sure be one for the books. Join me in the spin room afterwards where I'll ask the candidates some hard-hitting questions that will get you answers. As a journalist, who do you think will command tonight's debate?
Yeah, I think this is a huge opportunity for all these candidates, right? I mean, we are going to see 3 debates basically in 2 weeks. People are finally paying attention to this race. There's a lot of pressure on Javier Becerra because he's been rising in the polls, rising in endorsements, rising in fundraising. So I think a lot of the candidates are going to come after him tonight. So we'll see how he withstands some of those attacks. And then some of those lower polling candidates like a Matt Mahan or a Katie Porter who are sort of falling behind, they've got to make the case tonight that they should stay in this race. So I do think tonight we're going to see some fireworks.
What do you think has changed since the first televised debate on February 3rd?
Yeah, I think a lot, right? And a lot of that happened in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? Eric Swalwell dropping out because of the sexual assault allegations, Betty Yee dropping out this week. We've seen sort of a rapid reshaping of what this race looks like. And I think more than that, I think people are finally starting to pay attention, right? I mean, we're 2 weeks from ballots going out, and at this point, people are starting to wake up and say, oh, I don't know who I'm going to vote for governor. And so the fact that people are paying attention, the fact that voters are tuning in, I think people will be watching tonight to see how those candidates do, and I think that's going to make a big difference.
We have one fun question for you.
I love a fun question.
So actually, no, we have 2. So what is your In-N-Out order?
I'm a double-double with grilled onions and animal-style fries, and sometimes a vanilla milkshake, but usually a Sprite.
If you were asked to go on SNL, would you say yes, and who would be your musical guest?
I would definitely say yes. Oh, who would be my musical guest? I'm old, so if Boyz II Men was willing to come on and perform, I would absolutely. It's okay if you don't know who they are. Maybe on your mom's CD. Yeah, I'm a big Boyz II Men fan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You plan on accomplishing this, and do you mean all students would be eligible?
Yep. So California students only. Our international and out-of-state students would still have to pay tuition. That's because it's California tax dollars that go into making our state universities great. It would be for years 3 and 4. So right now we have 2 free years of community college. You could pair that with a free tuition-free year 3 and 4 at a UC, a CSU, or a Cal Poly. It is a debt-free, tuition-free college degree. It's unlike what any other state is offering. I think it will be incredibly helpful in helping us keep young families here, keep people here, attract people to one of our best assets, which is our world-class university. You can easily pay for this by giving corporations the same thing families have, which is progressive taxation. So if we raise the corporate rate from 8.84 only on the most profitable corporations to something just a tish higher, like 9, you can not only pay for tuition-free college degrees, you can pay for a lot more, including my investments in childcare. Very, very focused on what's going to happen to this next generation of Californians. Are we going to be a state who continues to grow? I've got a teenage kid. I don't want him living on my couch. I love him, but I don't want him living on my couch. I've got kids who are thinking about whether they can afford to stay in California, whether they have to choose between becoming parents themselves or being in California. So I think it's really, really important to focus on how are you going to make life better, more affordable for the next batch of Californians coming down the line, because our state's economic engine has always been adding people and retaining the great people that we have.
Your campaign is focused on listening to the average citizen. However, as governor, you will need to develop relationships with businesses, corporate, and tech companies. How are you equipped to do so when you have never been asked to before?
Oh, I have definitely had relationships with businesses before. I met with them all the time in my congressional district, and I've met with them throughout this race. One of the reasons I started this race a year ago was to give me the chance to travel California, take those meetings, listen and learn. That's everything from talking to ranchers and growers, riding out with a cattle rancher in Kern County, to being able to talk to some of the largest technology companies in this country. And my message to them is simple. I will always listen to you. I will always think things through. I'm a data-driven person. I'm smart, and you're going to have an honest opportunity to make your case to me. But I'm not for sale, and I'm not willing to do it just because it's coming from a business. I'm going to do it because it's best for Californians. Thank you so much.
Thank you. How can you condemn Swalwell yet accept President Trump's endorsement, seeing as they both have rampant sexual misconduct allegations?
Well, I think that those things were settled by the American people many years ago. These all go back a long way with respect to one of the people you mentioned, whereas these other allegations are very recent. And I think they're completely different in the sense that you haven't had elections where Americans have been able to issue their verdict on that situation.
As a former teacher, what is the specific action or plan you're going to take to improve California schools?
Look, I know as a former public school teacher that the educational outcomes we get in California are not good enough. Mississippi should not be beating us in educating low-income students, students of color. A majority of our kids are not on grade level for reading. That is unacceptable. And the two things that matter most are having high expectations for all of our children to learn and ensuring teacher quality. I don't believe that your seniority as a teacher should simply be based on how many years you've been there. We need to ensure that our teachers get the support they need, that we pay enough to recruit and retain the best and brightest teachers, and that when their students are falling behind, we intervene and get them the training and support they need to be better at the job. And we should be rewarding those teachers whose students show larger growth in a given year. I know from experience as a former public school teacher what it takes to get our kids on grade level, and it never includes lowering our expectations for what they can achieve.
What role would youth journalism play in your administration?
As a big one, actually. I think you're one of the most impressive journalists I've come across on this campaign trail. And, I'll tell you, you've got me thinking now, as we do press conferences and create press availabilities, if we have youth journalists, I'll invite them to come listen in and ask questions and be part of the press corps. Why not? We should be encouraging young people to be part of it at an early age.
Thank you. What is your in and out order?
Oh, I get a double with cheese and everything on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've repeatedly spoken about your funding coming from the closure of the $5 billion tax loophole. If you are unable to close this, where are you planning to get your funding from?
It's actually a $20 billion tax loophole. And let me say this. I have taken the oil companies to the ballot box and beaten them when no one thought we could. I have taken the tobacco companies to the ballot box and beaten them when the legislature failed to act for 20 years. And I have closed the tax loophole on out-of-state companies who weren't paying fair California taxes when everybody knew that had to happen, but no one else could do it. I have absolute confidence that we will do this again because this is a very clear and unfair tax loophole. The Disney Corporation, a huge multi-billion-dollar corporation, pays real estate taxes based on 1978 values on Disneyland. I don't think that needs to happen. This is a tax loophole. It's not fair. California needs the money, and we will absolutely win.
But in the event that you are unable to do this, is there a backup plan?
I'm glad you asked because if you look at my website, you'll see there's several backup plans. There's another corporate loophole where they get to declare where they want to pay taxes, and they choose low tax locales. That's worth about $5 billion for us. And the other thing that's true is artificial intelligence is going crazy. Artificial intelligence is a California innovation, a California technology. We need to own, the people of California need to own part of artificial intelligence. What I've proposed is a so-called token tax, a small fee on every calculation made by large language model companies. That it could be a huge amount of money. The first use for it will be protecting people whose jobs are threatened by artificial intelligence, but it could be enough money so that we could actually have a sovereign wealth fund, which would use as a financial buffer to pay for everything in the state. So in answer to your question, yes, the number one thing I want to do is close that corporate real estate tax loophole, and we will win it. You're asking me, do I have any other arrows in my quiver? And the answer is several.
In your administration, what role would youth journalism play?
Let me ask a question before I answer your question. How old are you?
15.
So let me put it this way. I have 4 kids, and I know that giving young people a chance to participate fully in actual professions, in things they care about, is incredibly important. So will I encourage young people to have a chance to learn things and participate? Absolutely. I love what you're doing.
Thank you. You said you would terminate nonprofits aiding California homelessness earlier this evening. Does this include nonprofits supporting children and their families?
The nonprofit money is going to end immediately. The people that come back and say, look what you're going to do if you take away that money, we'll give them their money back, and then we're going to monitor how it gets spent. But the reality is that's going to be a handful of nonprofits. There are going to be thousands and thousands that don't come looking for their money. And then we'll go after them and put them in handcuffs because they're the ones that have been stealing it for the last decade.
What role would youth journalism have in your administration?
I think the youth journalism is probably the most honest part of what we have in journalism, and I will encourage it to the hilt. I will probably encourage more youth to get into these positions and into this line of work than the ones that are currently in it, because they've been infected by a complete one-party rule. Journalism is dead. There is no such thing as investigative journalism, and I hope that our younger generation, what I see already, I hope that our younger generation carries that on again.
Thank you. Hey, this is Lila post-debate. We just finished up in the spin room where I got to speak to all the candidates present tonight except for Mr. Becerra, who did not make an appearance. There was no clear winner this evening, but I think all the candidates got to shine in their respective areas. Don't forget to vote on June 2nd. Signing off, KidScoop Media.
Hi everybody, Greg Lee from KTVU. I just want to say student journalism is so important. We love KidScoop Media. Keep up all the good work.
I can't get all of it out. I don't know why.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
3, 2.
Okay. Hey, it's Lila again. The decay. Okay. Hold on. Can I say it to you really quick? What do we think? Good? One more time? Okay, wait. Let me do it again. I can never remember. I need like a screen. I'll do one more energetic. Do you have water or anything? Candidates. Sorry, it's just kind of hard to talk. All of the candidates except for Mr. Bissett. Hey, it's Lila post-debate. Hey, this is Lila. Oh, I just said this is Lila again. Should I do like a second one?
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
Nice
much.
to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right, you bet. Have a good night.
Good, great.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
You did so great. You're so good at this.
Thank you.
You're going to take my job.
All right, then.